Hi, welcome to Simon Hales, and my name is Simon. So when I started this channel, it was very much about sharing my personal healing journey, and in the hope that that would be inspiring, reassuring to anyone that listens, and it's a way of making myself available as a healer, as someone that can be of service to others that are on that journey. I appreciate so much those of you that have been listening to these videos. It always amazes me to see that there are actually people watching these videos. So thank you so much. But little did I kind of really anticipate that doing this would introduce me, give me access to this whole world, this international world of amazing kind of healers and facilitators that are out there. And what an incredible community this is. And, I'm finding myself part of that community, which is such a pleasure, such an honor. And so recently I've just started to explore recording conversations with some of the amazing people that I'm meeting. And today is absolutely no exception. So I'm really delighted to be joined today by Melissa Turnock, who's way down under in Australia. I'm in Thailand, so we've managed to connect today, and just to share really our very current perspectives of what we are going through individually, and maybe where that fits in with the collective as well too. So hi, Melissa.
Hello, Simon. Yeah, it's so nourishing to have these conversations. It feels like my week these days hangs off these beautiful conversations I get to have, and the rest of the time I'm just doing what I have to do, what's in front of me, and then my cup gets filled up by these conversations. And you're dead right, like the people that we've come across through this program that we've both done, it feels like that this opportunity has allowed us like little bees to a honeypot to be, to come in and be around each other at the very time where we really do need each other, because we're not walking the straight and narrow path in the world at the moment, where we're bringing in revolutionary stuff. We're talking about things that people are uncomfortable talking about. We are laying our heart on the line and letting our lived experience be a support tool for other people. And that comes with consequences, right? And we never before, as much as now, we really need each other. And we're doing this together. So I totally agree with what you said.
And as you were saying before we hit the record button, that in doing this, it's so reassuring to know that we are not alone, that we're not going crazy. Yeah. And that actually, whilst possibly, I don't know, maybe we're not in the minority, but maybe whilst we are a minority, it's definitely a growing minority, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd really love to just actually kick off by picking up on the conversation that we were having just before. And if you would like to just, you were sharing with me a little bit of what you were just kind of going through very, very recently. Are you happy to do that?
Yeah, for sure.
I do feel that, I know I've been experiencing similar, and clients of mine have been experiencing similar. So if we share our experiences, again, it's reassuring.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's constantly surprising, well, not surprising anymore, how similar other people's experience is. So we're all a microcosm of the macrocosm. And so we're all going through our own little individual unraveling of our awakening consciousness, or whatever verbiage you want to use. But it's so much fun to get together and hear the connections and the similarities. And for me, the theme of this needs to get fun real soon is what is sort of my undercurrent for just being with what's coming and what's going, because we're not meant to come here to be miserable cows and have a shit time. So recently, just, I'm like most people going through very massive 3D changes. So I'm going through the big three at the same time in my life: divorce, selling up the family home and moving on, and not having any idea about where my business is going and what I'm here to do, like back in the void again. Now, those three things could commonly have someone come undone. But when we have been supporting ourselves and, for want of a better title, doing our inner work, we get to this place where we start to really almost have a bit of distance between ourselves and getting entangled and collapsing in what's going on in our life. So I've had the privilege in the last 3 days of seeing myself go down, down, down to this place where all I wanted to do on Saturday was cry. And my poor old partner was like, we're meant to have fun together on the weekends. Like, what's going on? And he kindly, sweetly said, do you want me to run you a bath? And somehow he just knew at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, the best place for me was in the bath. And I cried and cried. And it felt like it wasn't my crying. It's like, Mel, look at your life right now. On the surface, yes, I've got some big shit happening, but I'm also in complete ease and flow and have plenty of abundance around me. This was different. And I was like, okay, here we go. Something's going on. Didn't really change much through the day. I felt flat, and I'm not used to feeling flat. Like what you see now, this is my usual sort of vibe. And then on Sunday, I felt like a buzzy bee again. Like I felt amazing, and we were physically productive. We did gardening. Like it was just like I'm back to me again. But this morning I spent time with another fabulous woman, Ethereal Wings Harms, that's in this group with us. And it all became very clear to show me that we are capable, and this is the magnificence of us, of holding so much light that at times it scared the shit out of us, hasn't it, about how powerful we actually are and how much light we have. But what's happening is that that's being kind of targeted in a way, and there is definitely this sense of crumbling and panic going on outside. And when we have a degree of sensitivity, we can feel that, and we've felt the susness of everything for the last 2 years. And what I've worked out in this co-created session, because every now and again we need someone to come in and hold space for us, no matter how well practiced we are in our own transformation, was that there was actually on Saturday, it was like there was this dark energy coming up through my body. And that's why I intuitively ended up in the water, because I just needed to be held in the water and let the emotions flow and take the load off. This dark goo was there, and it all came together this morning. And the vision that I had when I was in this session was like that tennis ball machine, that the tennis players have, where it boom, 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 it shoots out tennis ball after tennis ball, and you're madly like practicing your shots. That is what's happening. And because the systems and the structures are literally, and that was another part of the session, was this massive crumbling behind me, like cliffs crumbling and things falling off the edge of planet Earth, that they're so desperate that what they're doing is they're chucking randomly, desperately, these clods of dark goo, and dark goo has always represented the real darkness to me. And it was getting to me. Like it was literally filling my body, and I was purging all this stuff out. So when I saw that in the session, what we then just did was went through a process of checking out what really was mine and what wasn't, and then protecting myself from it. And all, like, the vision just poured through that they are literally trying to harvest our light and our love. And so you've got to be like, that's the stage they've got to.
And yeah, for sure. No, and they've been harvesting us for so long, and you know, we've been, for the large part, pretty ignorant of that and complicit in it. And you know, what's happening increasingly is that we're becoming so aware of that and not consenting to it. And then what happens with because I've been through something very, very similar recently, and what happens for me is that some, like yourself, there's so much changing in my 3D experience. And I had a visual then when you were talking, you know, those kind of disaster movies when, with earthquakes and stuff like that, and the world's collapsing behind and people are running and it's right on their tail, you know? And if they stop running, they're going to fall into the chasm, into the, you know, kind of like that. And it kind of feels like that a little bit at the moment. Yeah, that kind of, the 3D experience is just collapsing so rapidly now at the moment. And however much work we've done on ourselves, however much kind of awareness we have, and we're able to be the witness, the observer of our own experience. There's times when it just becomes so overwhelming. This is my experience, and it becomes so overwhelming that it just triggers my fear, my pain body, you know, and this gives them the in. This gives them being, you know, the energy harvesters that we're talking about. That, to me, this is life that is not connected to source. We're connected to source. You know, we are source energy, and they're not connected to source, so they need to get it via us. You know, because so many of us are waking up to this and are not consenting to it, their supply is becoming increasingly limited, you know. And then when people who are so kind of awake and holding such a high vibration, holding so much light, when they get triggered, like you and I have just been recently triggered, and it gives them an in, and then they can just get in there and they just feed as quickly as they can. They're like, you know, and similarly to yourself, when this happened to me just recently, I just knew that I needed to reach out to a good friend of mine who is a great healer, and did some work with her, and that just kind of helps balance. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how well we have become at being our own healers, as it were. You know, there's times when we need someone else. We need someone else to work with, and just to kind of mirror the light back up for us and guide us back into that.
Yeah, well, it's like we amplify each other. So as many of us who've made, you know, non-compliant choices in the last couple of years have felt the sort of the removal from society to a degree because of duality. At the same time, all of the other things that are available to us now, because we've let go of some of that and dropped some of those personas and stood in our power, it's like then therefore we get to turn, and something like Mark's course comes along, and unbeknownst to us, we open up to all of these people, and each of us is like a piece of the puzzle. It feels like a piece of the jigsaw puzzle where we each bring our own beautiful little medicine in. And now that we're finding each other, it's like, it really, doesn't it feel like there is an amplification? So in just you and I having this conversation, when we get off this call, we feel incredible. And as I said to you earlier, each time I have these conversations, it's like my week really is nourished by being with people like you, because we top each other's battery up. We feel that spaciousness and the ripple effect of that goes out. That was another thing that came up in the session this morning, was we must not ever think that the one-on-one time we have with one person, if then they don't continue to be our client forever, that we haven't made an impact. What I saw was the ripple effect that goes out that we never get privy to with every person that we come across, every conversation we have. But we need the little battery pack of each other to make the grid brighter and brighter. And that is well and truly what it feels like happening. Have you ever had those visions of all these little lights on all over the world, and how we're now beaming into each other?
No, absolutely. You know, and also we must never forget the holographic nature of reality, that each one of us is a microcosm of the microcosm, that each one of us is all that is, or at least the information, the consciousness of all that is within every single one of us. Because sometimes, I'm sure you have this experience, but sometimes it's like, yeah, but what can I do? It's just little old me. What difference can I make? You know, and I think that's a message that I'd like to, you know, to share with everyone, that never ever to underestimate. And, you know, that impact that one of us has. And then, as you say, when we connect and those ripples start to spread out, then it's, you know, what was I listening to? I can't remember who I was listening to yesterday, and they made such a good point, because just look at what less than 1% of the population has done to the whole population. So it can work the other way around.
Yeah, of course it has. And one of the things that I've just been chuckling at today is the to not be hard on ourselves for having been fooled, for not to be hard on ourselves in when we see this trickery and this masterful stuff that's gone on. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jason Shirker, but I rarely listen to him, but I just happened to listen to something today. Everything that is good has been made to look bad, and vice versa. Everything bad has been made to look good. And I remember when all the pieces of that started to come together in the last 18 months, I was like, oh, how did they trick me? I thought I was an intelligent woman, all of this stuff. And then you have to let go of even that as well. And the only thing we're left with, and I know you've discovered this because you're into your meditation, the only thing we are left with, Simon, is the present moment and ourself. None of it is, all of it can disappear in a fraction of a second. And my meditation these days is nothing like my meditation was 6 months ago. That's what I love about meditation, how it evolves. My meditation right now is just literally stopping what I'm doing, sitting still, and allowing my body to be a conduit for sound. Now, about 5 years ago, I went to a shamanic, deep, you know, screaming naked in the woods kind of women's retreat. And we did some South Node, North Node work. And my North Node on my, this is talking astrological natal chart. Yep. My North Node, my South Node was harrowing, but my North Node is brilliant. I went into this vision of all of these women. They welcomed me back in, and they were so happy to see me, and everyone was crying. And it was about sound, and they wouldn't tell me, was it spoken word, was it singing? But I am here to bring a sound frequency through. And that just made everything make sense. So when we start to inquire, what is it that I've come here to do? When we start to ask that question, it makes it manifest, because we are source energy here and we have a job to do. So that gave me enormous comfort. So now every time something happens where it's about expression and communication, the card I drew for our talk, it's like, your sound that you bring through is your medicine right now. So my meditation practice is literally, and this happened in the session with Harms, as I went through my chakras, Simon, and I know you're into chakras, to balance them out, the way I did it was I just allowed my body to be a vessel for sound. And I made a sound that represented this one. There was a new chakra came up, which was at the back of my neck, where my head and my neck join. I didn't know about that one. Then there was my throat, and then there was my high heart had a chakra. And I literally just let this sound unfiltered. I am the conduit, like I get out of the way, and it just realigned everything. So that's my meditation right now. And that's it. It's just like, this is my thing. This is my mantra. Let your body show you, not your mind.
Yeah.
But let your body, because your body is on your side if you pay attention to it.
Yeah. No, beautiful. And everything is sound. The whole of what we experience is real, and reality is created by sound. And you know, the work that I do, in the healing work that I do, which kind of has its foundation in Reiki, but like so many of us now, that's just become a part of what I offer. I've studied other modalities as well too, but now when I work with a client, I'm just kind of bringing all these together, and other stuff which is purely intuitive. And I work a lot with sound. I use crystal bowls and Tibetan bowls to help to balance and clear energetic blockages. But it's all sound. Absolutely everything is sound. Of course, we only hear a tiny little bit of it. We hear a very, very narrow spectrum of sound. But everything is about sound. And that's what. Sorry, go on.
The sound of your own thoughts, even like the way you speak to yourself. Because often when you get just beneath the surface about what's going on for people, there is this internal narrative that has a frequency. So it doesn't actually matter what the words are, it's the way the frequency affects you. I'll give you an example. After I had breast cancer, I had breast reconstruction, and that distorts a woman's relationship with her body big time, losing your breast. And when I had the courage to stand in front of a mirror and look at my new breasts, which were surgically created and didn't have nipples, which is very common in breast cancer, double mastectomy, I was disgusted, and I couldn't even look at them. And the way I spoke to my body was, I don't know, horrible. And I got, you know, I worked through that, and the penny dropped. Would you talk to your best friend like that? Would you like if your best friend was talking about herself like that, how would you feel? So that frequency of that tone that I had towards myself, that energetic signature in my body, I mean, of course I was going to be derailed by that. And of course it had to become so uncomfortable that I then started to pay attention to that. That was when I really started to open the doorways into forming a relationship with my body, because you don't get breast cancer if you're embodied. You don't get breast cancer if you're in tune with your heart. It just doesn't happen. You get breast cancer because all of that's shut down and your body is proliferating cancer to get your attention. And I believe very firmly that that's what disease is. It is a communication line from your body to you trying to get your attention. And you've got a choice then. You either, you know, come home from hospital and turn the vacuum cleaner on and start cleaning the house and pretend breast cancer never happened, or you go through the shadow of it all and you work out what it was trying to tell you. And that was what I chose because it was a frigging gift. I don't know if you've had anything major happen to your body, but anything like that is a gift because it brings you home to yourself if you allow it.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate healing, isn't it? When you can look at these experiences and feel gratitude for them. That's it. The healing is then complete. So I think thank you for for sharing that. And, you know, I really appreciate talking to you, your willingness to be so open and vulnerable. We need to do that now, you know, and you know, the more that we do that, the more we heal individually and collectively as well.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling in my body what I was feeling when I was listening to you, you know, and yeah, just kind of what you've been through. I'd really love to hear more. I'm sure the listeners, if we're fortunate enough to have some, I'm sure the listeners would like to hear more about what it is that you're offering now as a consequence of your healing journey and where that's brought you to. Because I know that you're now integrating all of that into you know, protocols, etc., that you can offer to others and share with others. So, yeah, good to hear more about that.
Yeah, I come at transformation through the body. I had a lot of frustration in the last weeks or so about my business, and it all sort of came out nice and clear in the wash this morning in the work that I did. But one of them was this bypassing what's going on inside our body. And now it's not frustration anymore. This is awesome. It's not frustration, it's compassion now, which is what it needed to be to shift this energy. When people outsource their spirituality or they outsource their healing on a constant basis to someone else, and they prefer, you know, a tarot reading to sitting with their emotions, or they prefer to listen to someone, you know, channel Ashtar rather than sit with themselves and pay attention to the parts of themselves that are hurting. And this is all my lived experience. Once the breast cancer dust settled and my physicality returned and I was alive, and okay, so now I'm alive, what am I going to do with this shock wave in my body? I started to listen to my body and I started to get visions. So I'd be on the kinesiology table and she'd just put like white angelica essential oil on the crown of my head, and off I'd go into this land where I would see myself in my body hiding behind my organs at various ages through this lifetime and subsequently many past, where I shut down. So for me, my nervous system went into shutdown and I became functionally numb as a consequence of childhood, and the breast cancer sort of opened all the doorways. So my work is very much about, number one, we have to address your nervous system. You can't just sit there in a pose of meditation and think that's going to change everything if the infrastructure of your body is repelling any sort of actual change, any sort of inner inquiry. Is it a fight or flight state where you're just totally avoiding everything, or you're lashing out and projecting? Or have you gone into a dissociated state where you are just numb but functioning? So I need to see with my clients where that is at, because change will integrate and be much more sustainable if we can get the nervous system into a place of resilience and equanimity, so that we can move in and out of each of those stress states, but not stay there forever. And, you know, we both know people that live in fight or flight perpetually. You can see it in their face. And we both know people who have dissociated and are just refusing to feel what happens from here down. So that...
Sorry, Melissa, may I just interject just there before we move on? Because you brought up a really good point, I feel, about meditation, and for people to really understand what meditation is. And you were saying how your meditation practice has changed so much over the last kind of 6 months, 12 months or something. Meditation is not necessarily about sitting, calming the mind in this kind of blissful state. It's about really being present with what you are in that moment, without judgment, without resistance. I've cried so much in meditation. You know, I've been through the whole gamut of emotions in meditation. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that up because that's so important. And so meditation practiced properly, and this is why we do need to have meditation teachers, and this is why I'm quite nervous about a lot of the stuff that you can find online when it comes to meditation, and all the kind of recorded stuff and everything. Imagine yourself sitting on a beach and all that stuff. But meditation practiced properly is a self-healing, modality. I just wanted to bring that.
Poor old meditation gets such a bad rap. You know, for me, meditation is just presence with myself and allowing whatever comes up. But there are so many places out there, and I went to a school for 14 years that, you know, a lot of my friends said, Mel, you're going to a cult. You know that, don't you? Where in meditation, they told you to constantly let everything go. So whatever was coming in, you have to let it go. So there was no relationship with the body. It was nearly like ignoring and what you're talking about is very different. So poor old meditation gets a very bad rap. But for me, it's presence. It's being in the now moment with myself. So thank you for clarifying that. And everyone finds their way to just the right meditation teacher. I had to go through that problem because I was handing my responsibility for my spiritually over to the people running the school. That was the big lesson I learned, but that was a 14-year lesson. So the issue here that I'm addressing is that people prefer to commune with what they might be seeing clairvoyantly or tuning into galactic energies rather than letting what they're feeling be felt, because every little thing that is blocking our pathway to self-love and compassion just needs to be lovingly removed. It's not like we have to get self-love, compassion, presence, equanimity, detachment from out there. It's all here, but it's been layered upon and layered upon by these life events where we were not met where we needed to be met. We weren't able to be loved or feel self-love. So we shut that part of ourselves down. That's the trauma response in the body. So my gig is all about, well, let's start to play with your nervous system. And I teach muscle tremoring, which is trauma release exercises. And I do that because I did it for 8 years for myself before I even brought it into clients. I have to immerse myself in every modality before I let my clients have a whiff of it. That's my integrity. So we work on that. Then we create this state of equanimity where we're not in fight or flight anymore, or we're not so dissociated that the rest of the session is going to be cogs of the mind. Then we can deal with emotions. Then we can be present to emotions as an energy that coexists with our presence. We can observe, we can be that witness to our distress, to our elation, to our fear, because we have all of this incredible archetypal energy available to us. We're so multidimensional, we don't even have a flipping clue. We have this capacity to come in and be a witness. So I take clients on this journey where they get to go, where do you feel something in your body? What is the body giving you? Where's the tension? Where's the collapse? Let's go in. Let's go in. Let's deal with the emotions. And that, that is a lifelong skill that everybody needs. And we will forever and a day be dealing with our emotional body, Simon, because we're human. We don't get to a point where we go, okay, lock and key, done, I'm healed. We are constantly doing that. And that's a privilege that we get in this human body. And then the final piece of my work is, okay, now let's work with the energy. Let's do all of this fabulous energetic stuff. Let's get into our clairsentience, audience, clairvoyance. Let's tune into the kind of visions that you and I get in the sessions that we do. And let's work with energy. And one of the fun things that I did, and I'll just finish on this, when I became single after 21 years of being married and mutually single, so it was all a good, happy story, I said, okay, universe, don't fuck me around here. I want a man that's going to be in my highest good. So for 3 months before I signed up for those online dating sites where I met the man I'm still with now, I created an energetic grid where I visualized all of these points, and no man, and I use lots of swearing words when I created my energetic grid, no man shall enter unless he is here in my highest potential. And yes, I know that's not going to be comfortable all the time, but don't mess me around. Do not send me 6 what we call dickheads in Australia that are going to waste my time. And we get to do that, but we can only do that when we have so much faith in ourselves as an energetic maven that we don't doubt and we just create. We can only do that when we feel really safe in our own body to ask for what we want, because this is a big one with women and probably a lot of men, fear of asking for what you want, despite the fact that if you don't, the universe won't know what the hell to throw at you. And so that's the field I get to play in. And I feel like they're a really unique combination, because I know there's lots of practitioners that do nervous system work and spend years with people doing nervous system healing, like somatic experiencing and all of those things. I know there's lots of people doing emotional healing. I know there's a shit ton of energetic work, but my lived experience has been I had to do that to get to that, and then it gave me access to that. So let me bring all of those to the table when I'm working with you.
Yeah, and you've got your unique combination of all those skills. Yeah, and that's going to resonate with the people that need that exact combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the themes that I find runs through nearly all the sessions, all the clients that I work with, is this fear of being magnificent. And I think this is what you were talking about now. We are such magnificent beings, but we're shit scared of it, you know, and constantly retreating, you know, into the safety of our wounding and our traumas, etc., etc. And it sounds to me that kind of combination that you're working with and offering has that, you know, that's what there is the potential to release within that, is that magnificence, you know. And for me, you know, that defines healing ultimately, you know, is to become the very best version of self. And as you so rightly said, you don't need to go out there to get it. You're already that. It just gets layered, it just gets buried beneath all the layers of all the shit, you know? And, you know, all we've got to do is pull those layers away, and sometimes they fall away in big chunks, and sometimes we just peel little layers away. You know, that's what we do in our role as healing kind of facilitators and mentors, is to just kind of really help people and help them to feel safe and be safe. You know, I know when I've done a good job with my clients, because they become their own healers. And you know, and I'm just delighted when that happens, you know. And I'm not looking to be working with someone for months and months and months or years, you know. Like, the quicker the better. Let's get someone set up with their own toolbox so that they can take care of themselves.
I use it. That's what I call it. I say this is a toolkit for life, and all I'm helping you do is remember who you really are. And I've noticed too, like, I've been doing this kind of stuff for 4-ish years, like on other people. I did it on myself for a long time before that. Things that might have taken quite a while before aren't taking quite so long anymore. Have you noticed that?
Definitely, absolutely.
And that's that acceleration of the timelines that, you know, I hear spoken about. It's like, if you find yourself in front of a person who has this to offer you, it's preordained, it's destined that you're going to find yourself there. And you already opened that door when you've had the thought of looking for someone that can help you with X. Don't you think? Like, it's already happening energetically. And then by the time you get in front of that person, boom, like, I cannot believe what comes up in some of my sessions. The two of us coming together, it is pure magic. And that's because it's divine timing and it's matched frequencies. And boom, like seriously, what I would have spent 3 months doing with a client before, it just feels like 2 or 3 sessions. And the remembrance that they have in that time, it blows me away. And it makes it fun and interesting, and like it's not my responsibility to fix anyone. It is not my job. And I do remember feeling the burden of that when I first started doing my energy and soul medicine work. It's like, oh, what if nothing comes up in the session? It's not about that. Like, we are literally, like, when we get out of our own way, it's astounding what can come through, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, we talk a lot, there's a lot of talk about moving from 3D to 5D. And for me, a part of what that means is that the illusion of time, which is really created between the gap between thought and manifestation. That's what time is. That's how I would explain time. It's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the higher our frequency becomes, this is what a lot of my videos have been about. The higher our frequency becomes, we collapse that time. And I think that's what we're experiencing. That's why the healing is like, because, you know, you're having a thought and then it's almost instantly manifesting, you know. And I've been shown in in my own kind of meditations and my brain's going, kind of experiences, out of body kind of experiences, journeys into consciousness, let's say, in other dimensions, how we get to a point where there's no time between the thought and the manifestation. But having said all that, that is what makes this experience of being human so much fun, you know, because there is that game of creating and manifesting, and that's what we're here to do. And I think you touched on it earlier, and I just made a note of it, because it's such an important point. We are here to have fun, you know, and we talk about being in a high vibration, high frequency and everything. A very simple way of saying that is being happy, being joyful. It's not rocket science, it's not complicated, you know. So, you know, we just keep moving towards what feels good, move away from what doesn't feel good. And when, you know, people are often saying, oh, I don't know what my purpose is in life or what I should be doing. And, you know, oftentimes we find that by eliminating what doesn't feel good. And what's left over is your purpose. That's what you're here to do, you know. It's not.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yes. My experience has been, I tend to have people find their way in front of me that can't feel a lot.
Yeah.
So you might say to someone, does that feel good? And they'll say, oh, that feels good. But believe me, and you've probably seen them, a lot of people that have had so much lack of safety in their own body that they can't describe to you. And this is why I became a Pilates instructor. I wondered why I went from speech pathology to motherhood to Pilates. Like everything's like, I see now. I went into the body work of Pilates and yoga thinking it was to help my scoliosis body, but it was actually to start to go into the body and start to experiment and play with clients around creating a language around what they can feel in their body. And for me to spend time in my own body, obviously, the number of times I've said to a client, tell me where you feel the work in your body with this exercise. I'm not sure. How can you not? Like this blew me away. How can you not tell me whether it's your quads that are working or your butt that's working? How can you not know the difference? But that's so true. So how can these people then be able to work out what feels good in their life and what doesn't? Because they've not got that relationship there. So that's the kind of relationship I want to foster with people, because then all the details available to them.
Yeah, no, that's so true, Melissa. I also find a lot, I'll ask someone how they feel and they'll tell me what they think, you know,
Yes.
because we're so conditioned to think. We value thinking.
Yeah.
We're rewarded for thinking. We're not rewarded for feeling
No.
or, we're not rewarded for being connected with our emotions and expressing them.
Yeah.
But we're rewarded for thinking. So I can't believe it's nearly an hour that we've been talking. I'm so tempted to open up some other subjects, but I think we'll be here all day. And
We can do it another time. Easy.
Yeah.
We'll just have another conversation another time.
That sounds really good to me. I'd love to do that. So the work that you offer, is that something that you can do online, or must people you can do that online? Amazing.
For sure. Yeah, I've been doing Zoom sessions for the last 2 years, and it works amazingly. I've had a lot of clients in the UK in particular, and like it feels just like they're with me. I crave them being with me, and that hopefully will happen soon here in Sydney. But yeah, totally online. And I used to be quite rigid about how many months and how many sessions, but like so much flexibility around that. And I intuitively know as soon as I open up a conversation with someone, what's going to be helpful for them, because I see it. I'm so picture oriented, like the whole thing just visually lays out in front of me. And like it's stunned me how impactful the online work is, when I was quite nervous about it at first.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to say to anyone who's listening that has any doubts about that in my experience, working in energy does not know any time and space. We can even work in the past, we can work in the future, and when we can, I actually in some ways prefer to work through distance, because there isn't the distraction of the physical body and the physical senses. So we're able to become much more tuned into the subtle senses.
Yes.
And I get it. And I'm sure, people that are listening, they do get that. But if anyone does have any doubts, try it anyway, because it'll blow you away. Really.
And a couple of clients have commented that it's felt a little more comfortable, because I'm not sitting there right next to them in the room. Like there's a bit of space, like they're in their living room, in their familiar comfort zone, going into uncharted territory with me. And it's given them that little bit of a sense of, she's not like right there, like watching me like a hawk. So for some people, it can work really well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You've given me your contact details. I'm going to put those I'll pin those in the comments and put them in the description. And I mean, I feel inspired to contact you for that. So I'm sure there are people that listen to this that will resonate with that message, with what you're offering there, and your unique kind of combination of skills and experiences that have really kind of come together over the years into this point when they're needed. It's amazing, isn't it, how our life, all those seemingly random things that happen to us, and those kind of that knowledge and experience that we pick up, it all comes together. And it's like, okay, that's what my purpose is. That's why I'm here,
Exactly.
It sounds very much to me like you've really come into alignment with your purpose, and that is so powerful. When someone comes into alignment with their purpose, then that's when we become really magnificent, and
awesome.
Yeah, incredible. So it was such a joy to meet you.
Yes, it is. And let's do it again, because we haven't even talked about working in past timelines and all the rest of it. People think it's out of their reach to go into these realms, but it's actually not. Like, the doorway is completely open right now.
Yeah.
It's a place of faith, trust, and surrender. So to be guided to go there helps us tap into what we're capable of doing. And then, as I say to all my clients, you can do this yourself at home when you're ready. You don't need to be tied to me forever. So that's what's available to us right now, February 2022, that kind of access. It's powerful and it's fun. And it doesn't have to be hard. We don't need to be in traumatic healing cycles for 6 months straight. You know, there's so much light available to us to help us accelerate. So it's a good time.
Yeah, but do you see that date as a portal opening? It's not going to close again, is it? It's going to stay open for us.
No, it's just becoming available to us. And now it's a conscious choice, Simon.
Yeah.
I'm either going to stay stuck and repress in my collapsed state, or I'm going to open up to more. Like that's, and if you say yes, then boom, the world's your oyster. And if you say no, then I think you're just going to feel yourself more and more. Yeah. And we're not all meant to thrive. We're not thrive. We're not all here to expand beyond, right? We've all signed up for something. That's a topic we haven't even got to. We've all signed up, I believe, for a certain kind of experience this time around. And that will very much influence what happens. But yeah, that's a topic for another time.
Well, it sounds like we've got a few more conversations to have.
Make some notes, because I'll forget. I'll forget.
Well, as I can't remember if you said this before or after we hit the record button, you know, it's likely that what we discussed today will almost be irrelevant in a few weeks' time, you know. So as and when we do reconnect, we'll tune into what is relevant at that time. So I very much look forward to that, Melissa.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Simon. It's
thanks
been
so much.
Last. Yeah, thanks for the chance.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.